So I started out with this Kentucky coffee tree that I cut down last August from beside my deck that I planted there from seed about 30 years ago. Since then, over my deck I have a roof. I put solar panels on the roof, so the tree had to come down because it was shading my solar panels. But I'm going to make use of it. So this was a section about, I don't know how high up here. The tree at the base was about 14 inches. So I cut, the log was approximately this little, like here, sitting in my shop since last August. Lopped off the cracked ends over here about 2 inches on each side. Cut off a piece this width to kind of match the width of the tree, maybe a little longer. Then I always use a compass. I put it about the center where I guess the center is, just looking at it. Then I adjust the edge here so the pencil goes right at the edge of the wood. Then I check it on the other side. And if I have to adjust, I adjust and move over here, move over here. Once I get the with this proper setup right here, then I'll spin it around and make sure that it's going to work here, it's going to work here. If there's a defect over here from my cutting, I can move it back here on the same center line. Then I draw a circle. Back over to the bandsaw. Make the edge pretty close on the bandsaw, so it's fairly square. That's how I start. Then I put it between centers. This is going to be a natural edge bowl, by the way. And I should grab that other one. Excuse me. Hopefully it's going to end up something
Rick's
like
idea of facial surgery.
That's the idea. See how we go. Oh, yeah, that's good. Try and get it pretty square on here.
You care how wet the wood is?
I don't.
Do you like to turn green wood like this?
Green wood is fine. Sometimes it's a little splashy. I don't particularly like that. So this has been, like I said, it's been a year since I cut this, a little more than a year. Now I want the top edge from here and here to be in line. So I'll put my finger here, right at the edge of the top of the wood. Can't see what the, is this too bright, this light?
It's a little bright.
Okay.
No. But
So I'll put my finger right at the top of the wood, spin it around, and I see I got about an inch. So I'll move it over, keep the center here, move it on the headstock side. Put my fingernail on the wood, come over here. That looks about right. Now I'll look straight down here, midway between top and the bottom, right here. Getting my eyeball in line with the edge of the way down here, and then spin it around to the other side. There I'm lined up, and there I'm way off. So I got to tilt over this way. This is all just rough setting up here. So I'll put that there. That's pretty close. Still good here and here. All right. I crank this down pretty hard. Make an impression there. So I have an impression on this side where I want it, and I have my center mark here. You do this on a drill press. You just put it on the floor.
switch to one.
down till it's about solid wood. Remount it again.
And just for those who don't know what was that for?
That was to get rid of the soft bark that this is digging into,
Okay.
so it's not spongy.
Gotcha.
So which side of that is gonna be the open part of the bowl?
This.
Okay.
So I'll temporarily put it back on there.
So when you bore a hole in that, that's gonna be where the bowl's gonna be open anyhow.
Right, it'll get turned away. That's right.
Hey, Toby, I think the light will be better for if you swing that light out in front of the lathe, aim back toward you. Then it's glancing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that's better?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I thought it was too bright the other way, but I couldn't figure out why.
Yeah, well, it was coming straight down on. That's why. And the camera just can't deal with that.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
I need a little adjustment here. This has to get down.
Did you happen to take any lesson with Lyle Jameson? This is his trick. Keeps trying to balance the piece.
I don't balance it the way he does. I'm just trying to line up the rim.
Ah,
Could be.
okay.
I've seen his videos, and no, I haven't taken a lesson with him. Would be fun though.
And that's so you get a balance, right, in the,
So the rim is the same level this way and this way, because it's going to be a little slope. But each wing is the same height, or close to it. Now, one little trick I do at home to get the height of your tool rest, I make a mark on the post, the tool rest post. I use just a little, like a triangle file, make a mark on there. Doesn't hurt it at all, but it has a mark there, so every time I want to reset the height of this, I can just bring that mark down, and there it is. It's there every time. And if I need to adjust it higher or lower, like some people put a collar on there. Well, once you put a collar on, then you got to fool around with that if you want to raise or lower it down. Anyhow, that's what I do. I was going to bring that tool rest. I thought, no, they got one there. Anyhow, this is really wonky here. Face mask. Regular, can you hear me all right in this mask? This is a regular Ellsworth grind. Guess you can see it up there. 4 bounces nice here. That's about 700. Planting the tool rest, or the tool down on the tool rest. I have the handle against my hip, and I'm just swinging my hip around. Down here. That wood, always retighten. Get some get loose.
I feel it over
It's
here.
good. Make the triangle here nice and solid. Anchor it to the tool rest and just pivot. So it's getting loose. The more it goes around and spins, and the moisture in the wood migrates away from the pressure, then it loosens up where the pressure is. So you have to keep tightening. Especially on wet wood. Dry wood, not so much. Any questions, anytime, just ask.
So Toby, if you want the bark to stay on the wood, is there a time when the tree should be felled?
Everyone says cut it in the fall or the winter. I've never seen a difference in mine. I think it's more after you cut it, how you store it is more of a factor that I've found. This was cut in August. And the bark, of course, all trees are different, but this bark was on there.
Quick question, you're doing it from the flat end out because you want to keep the bark.
The rim's gonna have bark around the top.
If you weren't trying to keep the bark, is there a preferred way or a better way to do it? The flat side in concave or?
Well, you wanna go with the grain of the wood. You wanna, so there's always pressure behind what you're cutting on.
No, I mean, you're choosing to hollow out the bark side so you can leave it natural. You could have hollowed out.
Could have done it the other way, yes.
Is there a preference?
You can't have a bark rim if you hollow the other way. You'll
I know.
have a flat rim.
I'm saying, yeah.
Only because because the theme was bark.
Bark, right. Yeah, I'm
He's trying
saying
to do a
if he
natural
wasn't trying to make a natural edge.
Yeah, if you're
doesn't
not
matter.
trying to do a natural edge, just flip the bowl.
But
Yeah, I would
it's up to
just
what you
do
want. It's how the grain looks on the inside of the bowl.
Right.
So it does make a difference, but it's up to you.
Okay, gotcha.
And without saying it, this is the way I turn a bowl. Everybody has their own way of doing it. And whatever works for you, that's great. If you can pick up something that I'm doing here that'll help you, that's great. If not, just watch me. I'm not saying that, this is how you should turn a bowl. This is the way I do it. Okay, it's up to 1200 now. I'll put away all that lopsided and if they get going, recheck because of the shape of the bark and everything, and the way the tree grew. Recheck, make sure that the wings are the same height. I've got a lot. This is it's gonna be a smaller bowl. Okay, I have a bowl there. I can make it smaller. Little bit of tough spot there yet. At this point, I'm going to make a tenon on here so I can have a base in order to judge my curve with what looks pleasing or not. So I'm going to put a tenon on it now before I finish off the upper edge of the bowl. The way I judge my tenon, this live center is just a little bit too small to fit in my chuck. So I make the tenon slightly bigger than this, and so I don't have to measure it. I just say, it's a little bit bigger, it'll fit in there.
And do you make your foot right away then, so you can judge that curve, or you do the foot later?
If you're gonna put a foot on it.
Oh, okay, well, yeah,
Let me see what I have. Wilson doesn't have a foot.
okay.
This is a spindle gouge. Can you see it there?
Yep.
Very pointy. So it's spindle gouge that's I hand grind to a point. So that should fit in my chuck. Unless I made it too small. Get that over here. Oops. Got ahead of myself. I'll forget to finish up the room. Too many questions. Another thing, I hold my finger here, you can see it on the toe rest, and I can spin it around and keep it at the same level. Okay, when I was cutting there, I was looking out here to see the profile as I was going. And I still have a little flat spot. A smaller bowl. That's good. That's good. Curve's alright. I did put a little foot on it here, sort of. It's a little work. Alright.
Have you figured that backside is a done deal now?
Mostly. I'll touch it up once I mount it in the chuck.
Is the speed of the lathe based on the wood, how you're cutting or what you're cutting? Or is it just a constant speed?
It's based on the size of the piece, the stability of the piece, the type of wood, what feels right.
Vibration.
There's no real rule to it, I guess. I turn it up until it seems like it's not scary and it's not vibrating and it's giving me a good cut. I might shove, just barely fits on this ribs. Now we'll see if I made the tenon too small.
Close.
Was that?
Close.
We know that.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, shit.
So I'll put pressure in the center here so that it sits all around the top of the. Yeah, look at that. There's a good 32nd of an inch here. All right, now I'm going to take this away. Well, I readjust the camera right away.
You're gonna push the headstock down?
Gonna help me?
Yeah.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. Right.
Why you wanna do that?
Because I want to work from the front of the piece.
Easier to access than straddle. Like straddling.
So that I can see what I'm doing and I can keep this handle against my hip. And on some cuts, I'm lowering the handle down here, which you can't do because it's going to hit your waist. Should have paid a little more attention before I turned that on, but it looks good. Got lucky. So that's 1,500 RPM. Just getting it all right.
Yeah, yes.
What's your rep for this? Keep it up against my hip. Keep it anchored. Good stability. Just move back and forth. This hand puts pressure down onto the tool rest, and that gives you stability. This gives you stability. All the tip of the tool that moves is done from the rear back here. That's where you got. You don't push this part.
There was a question back here earlier about why you're leaving that nipple in the middle of the bowl. Can you explain it? Why you're not going all the way to the center? Why
Right here?
Yeah.
Right now, it's because these wings, as you go down and take that mass out of the center, the stability of the wood, they'll start to vibrate. So right now, I'm leaving that in there as I work my way down the sides. I'm almost down as far as I'm going to go now, and I'll come back and take that center part out, then I'll just do it again the same way. It's just one step after another. But I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that mass now. Take a look at it, see how it's going. Looking okay. Now I usually angle the tool rest in there. Make sure it doesn't hit. That's about 1,500. I'll get it in the center again. Take a look at it. I stop the lathe fairly often just to check my progress, see if there's anything that needs tending to.
I have a question, Toby.
Yes.
So I see when you get rid of that center part, you go in the middle and pull out. Is there any strategic reason for that, or instead of going inwards, it's just the
You
way?
could do it either way.
Okay.
I like to use the left side of the wing as much as I can because it doesn't normally get used.
Yeah,
That way I get use out of that side of it, because you're gonna sharpen both sides when you
that's a good
sharpen.
idea, right?
Plus, you can get a lot more material out a lot faster
Okay.
from working center out than out to the center.
Inside and the outside, that's what he's talking about.
So as you see, my tool is way down here now. If the headstock was at that end, this would be hitting the lathe. I wouldn't be able to make this cut. That's when I bring it out to the end. And then I'm going from the center out again.
Toby, how are you judging the thickness of the bottom so you don't make the reeser funnel?
Greaser funnel.
I'm just looking.
Admit to it.
That's a Bowman funnel, not a Reeser funnel.
I'm just looking through there and putting my fingers down there and feeling it. You can measure.
Have
Oftentimes
you
I'm
made a
making.
secondary foot? I can't remember. Did you make a secondary foot so you could clear the bowl when you're done, or you just make the primary tenon?
I'm not understanding.
Did you make you made in effect a double tenon, right? So you know you won't go too far through the.
Yeah, I only did that foot on there because he mentioned. I thought, well, what the heck, I'll put one on there.
All right.
But on the other one, I didn't. It just doesn't matter. When you bring your fingers down through here, you can feel how thick it is. Now, if it's a bigger bowl, you can't get your fingers down in there. Then you got to measure. What I'll do is put it like this. Sight down here from one tip to the other. Bring it up here. And I move my head over slightly and figure out how deep it is. It's a little bit thick right there. I'll go a little thinner since you mentioned it.
So you can always use another funnel.
Now I'm going to make a funnel.
You ground some heel off of that? Have you ground some of the heel off of that to make that tight cut at the bottom?
I did, all my gouges, yeah. I cut the heel off, sharp heel. To get tighter feet. Scraper. That would probably be okay for sanding the way it is, but I want to demonstrate the scraper also, so here it is. The scraper is thinner, and you want to be up above a little higher, so I have to raise my tool rest. Now I can slight angle down. This is a negative rake scraper. So quiet. It was a lot faster than I was going to. Scraper does leave some fuzz, especially on if you're doing side grain. That's the drawback of the scraper. See if I can get rid of it with this. Gotta lower this. All right. A little bit of sanding will take care of that. At home, I have an air hose. I blow everything all the time. I'm sweating up all these lights. I forgot to address your question about, is this side done now? Before I flipped it around. I can still do some of that, but there's a couple little corners here that I see. I can touch those up still because they're down close enough to the chuck that they're not going to vibrate like they would out here at the wings.
But you won't touch anything up near the rim of that bowl on the outside.
I shouldn't. I probably could, especially with this wood because it's very stiff and it's partially dry. But I'm not going to.
The overhead camera.
And it'll be closer because I think that. That's pretty good. You can zoom in just a bit. Okay. Now this isn't the shear scrape where you're putting the face of the tool against the wood. This is a shear cut. I rub the bezel and like a screwdriver, turn the tool until it starts peeling off the wood. took care of that part. What time is it? 20 after 9.
Oops.
You forgot to call back last time.
So, you want to see me finish off the bottom yet? You have time for that?
You use a jam chuck for that?
Yes, I am. It's close, but it should work.
He made it. It's just a scrap piece of wood that he turned into a jam chuck.
Yeah, grab the piece over there, put it on here, and make a little.
Grab a piece, he put $3 down. You'll see.
He's just renting.
Yeah, it's,
Actually have to pay him, he's making more tools for the shop.
Yeah, if he pays $3, he gets to take it with him.
I'll leave it here.
He thinks he has it.
Yeah, man, that's cheap.
Can you sign it?
yeah.
You have to dye it. You want to see the color.
Demo jam chuck.
Now, in the past, I've done this, and I just put paper towel there and put it up against here, put the pressure on, and started taking off and it started spinning in here. And it leaves a mark down here, because the towel starts spinning, creates friction. So what I've done is just give that a little moisture. Put it against the wood, and the paper and the wood and the moisture kind of makes a glue like. So if it does spin, it's going to spin between the paper and the jam chuck, and not between the paper and the piece of wood. So that's what I do all the time now. Here. So it's spinning pretty true. I'm going to clean up the foot area that I made. And I don't know if you can see that on camera. Can I bring it back this way?
Yeah.
And then point it. Yeah. But I'm using the right wing about halfway down. Making a nice shear cut on there. And that leaves a very nice finish. Probably can't tell on the camera.
Can you just show that tool orientation again, because your head was in the way? So if you just hold the tool up so folks can see what you're...
Yeah, or put it on camera 1, that's a pretty good angle. Is that good?
I think 3 might, okay.
Here, I'll do this section right here. Did you see that?
Yeah, so your tool handle's low.
Tool handle's low, and it's the wing, and the wing is almost vertical. And it leaves a very nice finish. There's very little sanding there. So this piece, I'm going to take it home and finish it. So I'm going to leave that tenon on and just finish this part of it and just pretend I'm finishing the whole bottom of it. That I'll just be finishing the bottom of the tenon. Back to the pointy spindle gouge again. Normally I'd have more to work with because I'll take that tenon down and this would fit in there a little closer. Right now that's as far as I can get on it. But that's okay. At this point, this would be the whole bottom would be done down to that little nub there. And this is paper stuck on there.
Toby, do you have any vacuum chucks or drum chucks?
I don't.
Because I use them for jam chucks. What's nice with a drum chuck like the way vac chucks is you've got a ring.
Ring.
So, and I just put a piece of cotton t-shirt on between the wood and that vac chuck. It leaves no marks and it never spins, never breaks traction.
Yeah.
Because it's the width of it's that wide ring instead of the center of the jam chuck.
Well, this jam chuck I hollowed out here.
Yeah.
So it is just the ring that's putting pressure on.
I was just throwing it out there for anybody who might have
Absolutely.
one with the idea that it works well.
Yep. What am I doing now? Oh yeah. Finishing off the bottom. This particular chuck has a hole here that you can put that in there and break it loose with the Tommy bar. So here I take a Jacob's chuck, which normally would go in here for drilling. I put it in the headstock, put a sanding pad on it. It's a little lubricant. Then this is stationary and I hold the piece, both hands, and just sand that off. Like I say, normally I'd had more to work with and it would just be 1/8 of an inch. It fits a little tighter on my lathe. You can put a drawbar on here and screw it in. Y'all know about that, right? I don't at home because when I push this in there, it stays in mine. This would have came out a little bit. No big deal. You're putting pressure on it that way anyhow. And I use the corner of the sanding disc and just work from the outside to the inside, spin the piece around, and then finish off with the grain direction because the paper's going this way, so the grain direction should be going up and down. And then sandpaper. My deal with the sandpaper is I buy it in 100 sheet pack of the 8x10 or whatever size it is. I cut it into little squares like this on a paper cutter. 3 this way, turn it 3 that way. Then I fold it in thirds like this. That way none of the grit is touching grit, so it doesn't rub and wear itself out. And then just back and forth on here. And that's the finished bottom. So that's the piece.
Hey, Tom.
Similar to this.
Hey, Tom. Camera, what do you think? You're like,
Ah, did you miss that?
Can you start from the beginning?
Let me put all this back here. All right, so, any questions?
Yeah, that
Larry?
spray finish that you put on,
Oh, yeah, let's get to
is
that.
there anything you do between sanding and that?
There it
Over
is.
there.
Yeah, hand me that, no, show the camera.
Which one you want?
Spray can.
Oh, spray can. We'll pass that around.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
After that dries, I'll take that home and sand those, there's some tool marks in there. I'll put it back on the lathe and sand that. I should show you a little bit how I do that.
That's pretty, right?
What are we talking about? You were asking about the finish. Yeah, after I get that sanded, after it's dried and I get it sanded down to, I'll put it on a little turntable at home, spray a coat, just one coat initially and let it soak in, not heavy, just enough to seal the wood. And then the following coat will build up on that rather than, if you keep putting this on, spraying this on, it'll keep soaking in and you're just wasting your finish. So put a seal coat on, let that harden, cure, come back an hour later, put another coat on, another hour or two, 3 coats, 4 coats, and it goes quick and just spray it. You gotta be careful when you spray, you don't put too much in one spot, keep it moving. You don't want it to run. If it runs, then you're gonna have a sanding problem.
What is that? What is
This is
on what?
Krylon triple thick crystal clear glaze. I get it on Amazon, $6.47 a can. I buy them like 3, 6 at a time. I got a whole bin full of them. So I use it on. Yes,
But you mentioned dry. That's always, I turn green a lot. And it's always a question for me. Do you let it dry to touch or what before you finish it or finish sanding it? Like, will you take it home and let it sit for a couple days, or how would your process be?
that piece there, I'll take home, put it in a paper bag, put it down in my basement, which is about 50% humidity. Put it against the wall on a shelf where there's not a lot of draft going on. Let it dry slowly. I'd give it probably 3 weeks. That's what, 1/4 inch thick, 3/8.
Yeah, about
Take it out of the bag. Probably after 2 weeks, I'll probably take it out of the bag and just let it sit there without the bag around it. And then after 3 weeks, pick it up, feel it, rub your hands over it. You can kind of tell when it feels dry. Give it a little tap. It has a different feel and sound to it when it gets dry.
So you answered it. You don't finish it green, in other words.
Oh, no. No, I let them dry first. I don't know what would happen if you finished it green.
You use oil.
Well, yeah, you could put oil on it, but I like them glossy because that's what people buy, so I spray things. Most things. Any other questions? Oh, I wanted to show you how I sand that. Whenever it gets back here, if we're still here.
It's 9 o'clock somewhere.
Anybody else? Anything? Tools, technique.
When you dye them, when do you dye them? When it's dry?
When it's dry, after it's fully sanded. So after this is dry at home, I'll put it back in the chuck. I'll probably have to put it in another chuck because it might shrink to be too small for this one again. But I'll use this. Of course, the outside's easy to do. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to fold this sandpaper inside out so we don't make dust here. Get this out of the way. Can you see? Yeah, pretty much. So I'll go like that, and I'll hold out here on the edge. Keep this hand up against the solid wood, and you can see by looking where it's solid and where it isn't. Back and forth, back and forth. Keep checking, and I'll go through the grits. I'd probably start this at 120 or 150. This is 220, but it's just paper right now. Then on the inside, I do the inside here. And make sure my flap is going, the overlap is going downhill. I'll keep pressure on the inside, and then you can see that the paper's hitting the edge there. So I'm sanding the wings as it's going around too. But keep my finger behind here, and my finger kind of bends this way to conform to the shape of the bowl. And it sands the wings also.
What speed do you like for sanding like that? What speed do you like for that sand?
I sand almost everything under 300. So that's how I sand it. You put your hand in there and you think you're going to tear it up or something, but if you do it right, it's not going to hurt. If you do it right.
If you do it right. How do you know if you're not doing it right?
When it hurts.
The amount of fingers you have on it.
Another thing I do whenever I get a new chuck, I'll put it on here and well, I'll turn the jaws out so that they're even with this. I'll take a piece of sandpaper and just rub along the inside here. Doesn't affect the chuck at all, but then it doesn't hurt me when you put this on there. There's no sharp edges. Just sand them off. So, kind of a safety feature. You bump your hand up against there, it's going to hurt a little bit because it knocks you, but it's not going to cut you over.
Toby,
Toby, do you,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Can I just make a comment on the speed for sanding? If you turn your speed of your lathe up too fast, all that happens is you trap air between the sandpaper and the wood, and it doesn't actually get effective. And pushing harder just creates heat. So you have to make sure the sandpaper, because you think about the sandpaper, there's a bunch of little tiny grits one after the other, and they have to be able to clear out. So one of the mistakes people often make is they try and really sand. I want to go faster, so I turn my lathe up. And no, if you want to sand faster, turn your speed down.
Turn your speed down. You can tell the difference when you turn the speed down. You can see the dust coming off a whole lot more than when you have it fast. You're just getting fine little tiny particles. You don't want fine little tiny particles. You want to take that wood off of there. If you want fine particles, you can go to the next higher grit. Jim.
Toby, if you were turning that green, would you leave it thicker and then return it after it was dry, or what would your process be?
If it was a flat edge bowl, yes, I would twice turn it. The natural edge bowl, it's going to work, but you can't tell because it's already oval shaped. So when it dries and it works, you can't tell.
But when you put it in the chuck, that the mortise is, the tenon is out round.
It's going to be a little bit out around. Yeah, I usually try to, when I put it back on, it's going to be out around. I'll move it and I'll look over here. Okay, there's a 1/16 of an inch gap there. I want to make the other side the same gap and then tighten it down. And then it'll spin as true as you're going to get it. It'll still be work, but it'll be as true as you're going to get it. That's how I handle that. Anything?
Great demo, Toby. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.